thank you all for joining on this community session for Presenza newest feature, APAS functionality. Before we start with the WebEx session, I would like to bring to your attention that this webinar is actually being recorded. So afterwards, if you like to review it, you will get a link from Bosch through your registration, and you can review it once more. There is a chat option on the WebEx session where you can post your questions, and we have the tendency to answer the questions at the end of the session. So if you like to post one of your questions, it's important that you use the chat function in the right bottom of your screen. And if you start a chat, please make sure that you are sending it to all the panelists. That allows us also to see the message, and then we can read the question, and at the end of the session respond to your question. So today there are two presenters. So one is myself. My name is Maarten Wings. I'm working as a marketing manager in the EMEA region for the installed audio portfolio, of which the Presenza public address and voice alarm system is the flagship product at the moment, fully IP-based PAVA system. And supporting me today will be Anton Thiele. He's working also in the business unit as an application engineer. I will be introducing the topic more from the commercial perspective. So what is this new product that we want to talk about? What can it do? What are the benefits behind it? How can you order it, and when will it be available? And Anton Thiele will show you a bit more details about how to install it, how to use it, how to operate it. There will also be a live demo as a part of the session. So yeah, the objectives of today are really to explain to you what is this new product that we are now launching, the Advanced Public Address Server, APAS. I hope after this session you have a much better understanding what this word actually means. So we want to show you how do you set it up, how is it being used, what does it looks like, how do you configure it, and we also like to demonstrate it to you. So first, a portion of the commercial part of this webinar. So I would like to make you understand that this new functionality is actually part of the Presenza family. So for that, I do a very short recap for those who do not know which this is. So if we look at the next bullets coming up, we basically see that Presenza is our new flagship installed audio system for public address and voice alarm. It's fully IP based and is an EN54 certified system for voice alarm. So we have IP connectivity between all the elements, which allows you to do a centralized system approach, as also a decentralized system approach. And the segments that we are targeting with this are hotels, shopping malls, exhibition centers, education, airports. So basically from the mid-range up to the larger interconnected systems. So Presenza was launched in 2019, just at the end of the year, very early 2020, the first sales came in, and we already sold more than 400 installations. So after, of course, Presidio, which is our PA system, enterprise PA system for the last decade, Presenza is now stepping into its footsteps and is also rapidly being deployed. You see that more and more installations are coming. So we are also talking to larger installations already, like larger airports. We have first railway customers to talk to, cruise ships customers, but also projects like hospitals, universities, shopping malls, sports facilities, exhibition centers. They are all already being equipped with Presenza since the last 1.5 years. So if you look at the target application of Presenza as a public address voice alarm portfolio, we basically have two segments in the market. So one is where the announcements and the background music play a role, and the other one is where it's merely announcements. And this market is basically segmented from small to large. And if you look at then the sub-segments in that market, so you have the compact and easy, strongly price-driven, more the smaller installations for offices, education, retail outlets. Then you have the mainstream, where you have the mostly one main larger building, like a hotel, an office, education facility, or something like this. And then on the left-hand side, we have more the market segment where the ambience and the experience of the venue is really important. So where the music basically meets also the announcements. So like in shopping malls or on cruise ships, fashion stores or casinos. And on the right side, we have the market segment where we really talk about larger scaled installations. Very often it comes with multiple sites like railway stations, airports, but also power plants, oil and gas facilities. And if we look where Presenza is targeting, so we see that Presenza is basically delivering high quality audio for background music, as also high quality speech intelligibility and audio for announcements. So what we today want to talk about is this APAS APAL functionality, which sits more in the area where the announcements for business purposes and the background music comes to play. So this is not an EVAC solution which is EN54 certified, but this is much more something that is facilitating background music use cases as also business calls. Yeah. So as we see on the slide here, so this is actually what the new feature is. So it's a mobile client which allows you to control the PA system from a handheld device. It could be a tablet, it could be a smartphone, and it gives you access to controlling the PA zones from this device to do announcements and play background music. And you see here an application example. So let's imagine you are now the retail owner of this restaurant, or maybe you have your own shop in the shopping mall. So you would be able to control the background music and make business calls within your own facility through this remote client that is controlling the PA system. We have a short movie about this to show you a bit what it is. So this is the server which is hosting these web pages, and this is the interface of the web client. Yeah. So that was a very short movie just to give you an idea what it looks like and how it's used. So as I mentioned, it's a mobile client, an operator control client, which allows you to control the PA system. So what can it do for you? So it can start live calls and announcements where you pre-record your voice and then you play it back into the selected zones. It can make you you can play scheduled messages through this system. You can use text-based announcements. So this means online speech to text. So you type something and then an online translator will be used to convert that into a message that will be played throughout the PA system. You can select a single or multiple zones. Let's say you want to play it in multiple areas in the store, or maybe you want to play it in multiple areas. I don't know, maybe in an airport terminal or something like this for retail purposes. So you can easily select them through the touchscreen. You can also control the music, so you can select a music source like an IT radio or something like this, or maybe you have your own MP3 files that you want to play. You can also adjust the volume level in the selected zones. The music can be streamed directly from the server itself, from the internal memory, but it can also be streamed through music portals on the internet. So just to make sure that, you know, a retail owner, for instance, would only have access to its own shop, there is also the opportunity to create operator profiles. So you cannot control the music sources or the volume of the retail store next to you. And this is something which is fully browser based. So it's not an app that you need to install on the mobile device, but you log on to a hosted web client. And this web client basically offers you the functionality to control this, to control the PA system, either from a wired or a wireless device. So this is something which we are launching now, commercially available, 21st of June. It goes by license. So if you buy one license, you basically have one active host connection to the system. So if you want to use, like, say, 5 different devices, then you need to have 5 licenses. It only counts for an active connection. So of course it's a web page. So as soon as you open the web page, you have one active connection, and if you have 5 licensed connections on your server, this means that basically 5 clients can log on to the server and use the application. Yeah. So on the next page, you actually can see the second component that comes with this. So we just looked at the license for the web hosted client. And this is actually the server that we link to the PA system's IP network, and this is hosting the clients for the mobile devices. So this is an industry PC, so it has no moving parts, so it is very durable. It can run for 24/7. And yeah, it allows you through a secure IP connection to log on to the web clients that are hosted by this system. So if you want to use the APAS APAL, so the APAL, the L stands for the license, and the APAS, the S stands for the server. You basically need to have both of the components in place, the server to host the service and the license to log on to the service. So the server will be available also 21st of June onwards. And you see here the product details with the product code, the price, and what it actually is. Yeah.
Now the product code is the APAS in this case, not the APAL for the hardware.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that, Anton. Okay, now this was a bit the commercial introduction with the goal to show you what is this actually what we are launching, how can it be used, and what would be potential use cases. So now I hand over to Anton, who will show you how the system is being set up and also demonstrate how it actually works in real life.
Okay, thank you, Marta, for this introduction. Yeah, good morning and good afternoon for our Asian colleagues as well. Yeah, let's continue with the system setup. What you see here is that this server device is connected to the presensor network. So that means that you have this APAS server is part of that presensor network, and it has 2 network connections. So you have the possibility to also use a second a network connection of this APAS server to connect, for example, to the to an internet router or via Wi-Fi, and then connect that to your internal network or externally. Yeah, so there's also possibility to do that via the presensor network, via your own gateway, but it has also the option to do this via this second network connection. So the other port can then connect in this case when you use 2 to the internet or to the Wi-Fi. So it allows you, if you connect to the internet, to have online services, and operating panels having access to the APAS web server can be located in that case anywhere in the world. Yeah, so you have not direct restrictions here on your network. It can be located anywhere. So the system setup, yeah, this APAS is what I said, close connected to the presensor network. It can send up to 10 AES67 channels, and yeah, these AES67 you can via the Dante controller link to our Dante inputs of the presensor system. as Presenza is also AAS 67 compliant, we can use these channels to connect them to our Dante inputs of the system controller. Yeah, and that's what you do with Dante control. Just to then these two channel 2 times 5 channels come available, and you can link them to the inputs, and from there the audio can be controlled via the Presenza system by this unit. Yeah. Yeah, a part of these 10 audio channels can be reserved for live speech only. So you can tell how many of them are only must be available for live speech. And in case of parallel call requests, the next request will be placed in a queue. So it has also a kind of queuing mechanism inside in case you have multiple pages to the same areas. Regarding the licensing, yeah, you as Marta already indicated, you need to have one license per user. So you need to have one device, one APAS, and at least one license per user. After this order has been processed, you will receive an activation ID by email. And this activation ID can be added in a tile, in a special menu tile of the Presenza of the APAS system. And when after activated or added this activation ID, you can download the license request file directly from the APAS. So with that license request file, you can upload this to the licensing Bosch Security website, where you get your credentials, or if you do not have them yet, you will receive them. And with that, you can then download your response request file. And this response request file can then be uploaded to the APAS to validate your license. So this is the procedure how to link your license, your activation ID to the APAS you have bought. Yeah. Yeah, let's move on to the user screens. So before I do the live demo, I briefly show you the overview of the user screens of the APAS. So you have, this is the screen after login. Yeah, it's optimized for touchscreen control. So it has large tiles that also on an iPad or any other handheld device you can easily select and scroll through the menu. Then you have the area selection panel, where you could have multiple sections, and at every section you can have a number of tiles. So for example, here in this picture, it is ordered by a floor, and that for every floor you have then a number of tiles. And yeah, I go in that more details later. So each tile area represents a Presenza zone or a zone group. So that's the link. So when we do the configuration, you define areas, and for each area you assign a fixed Presenza zone or Presenza zone group. Yeah. Each section bar can then contain one or more areas. And yeah, if they are colored or if they have a blue bar underneath them, this indicates that this area is selected. Yeah. Next one is the recording. So if you do a live call, a live speech is not a direct live speech, but it first announce you will record your paging. Also, because with this tablet, you could, for example, be in the area where you want to page, and yeah, you want to avoid that there is any feedback. And also it gives you the ability to first replay your recording, and if it is approved, you can page it. Yeah. So it's still what we call live speech. So you record and then replay it, listen to it, discard it, and record again if needed. And then if okay, press the green button to page. Yeah. And another one is the text-to-speech functionality. It will make use of Amazon Polly text-to-speech server. Yeah, in the future, also product management is looking at more text-to-speech providers which can be added in the future. So, but we start here now with the Amazon Polly, which is one of the best text-to-speech server providers in the market at the moment. Language selection is based on license. So besides the license for APAS and APAL, also you need to have an Amazon Polly license if you want to make use of text-to-speech. So this is something from Amazon which is personally connected. So yeah, you need to have this license there to run this functionality. You can select a text script and could be picked out to avoid the need to retype it. Yeah. Furthermore, you have message libraries where you can these can be uploaded and to play out in selected zones. There is background music available for every zone or zone group, and you can have a high number of sources you can select out and to play. Yeah, so you can also indicate in which areas it is allowed to play that music, or if you are allowed to switch background music on or off, or to change volume. So these you can of course also change the source. Yeah, then there are two schedulers. One of them is for messages, and one is for music changes. Yeah, so we come back to that later. And then for the main user, you can also have the ability to look into the history, what kind of actions have been executed by the user. Yeah, so a user history log is there available. Yeah, and then yeah, the user configuration screens I would like to show you in the live demo itself. Yeah, so so let me now try to change to the other one, to my APAS screen. So I hope you can see now my APAS screen. If not, Marta, please let me know.
Yes, Anton, we can see it.
Yeah? Okay. So here I have the login version for use from a user perspective. So you can see the tiles I just talked about. So you have here a voice option where you can select the particular tiles, and if you select them, you see also that they are going to the right, and can then, when you go to the next one, you can then record the announcement. Yeah. So let me quickly. Yeah. Let me do that later. Yeah. So this is the announcement. When you have text to speech, this is that text to speech screen. You have a number of libraries where you can select out. For example, here I have an Italian phrase. You can also select here a number of languages depending on yeah, on your license. So now I go to the right, and when I now select the different type of zones, you can furthermore then start the paging on the system. I have a presenter system. Yeah, so I'm now just putting the microphone of my headset close to this loudspeaker, but I think you can understand the ID. So the message also will be confirmed that it is played out successfully So that's a text-to-speech module. So you can also type in your own text here that it can be played out. Yeah. Next one are messages. So for example, here I have some messages recorded, and yeah, I could pre-listen to it, and again also if this is okay, then I can again select some zones and play it and page it out then to the system. This is a recording test for the APAS. A recording test for the APAS. So here the paging here is taking place. Also the confirmation again. Yeah, the next one is the music. Here, when you go to the music, you can again see the different zones, which different areas which I have selected, and here I could select again a particular area, for example, the reception, and then go for a particular music channel to select. And so I have reduced a little bit the volume of my loudspeakers, but I think you can hear the music playing. Yeah, so you can for these areas you can change the volume. You can also put it on mute immediately. So and enable it again. And you can yeah, you can also change the source. Here's another one. This is another channel. So these the ones which I just selected are streaming services. So these are URLs, so web-based streamings. But you can also have recorded messages. So that means, for example, I have here one. You cannot hear the difference, but this is something which I have uploaded in the Presenza. So it depends on yeah. So you have different type of ways to play the music. So recorded messages can be used as, or recorded files can be used as music. The streaming services can be used as music, but also an audio input of the Presenza system can be used as music. For example, the call station, our call station has a mini jack input for background music, and also one of these. For example, here I had a classic from GSM. I had there that you can connect to your call station and then from there play the music. So that could also be a channel. So you have different options here. I will show that later when we are at the configuration side. Yeah. And then we have the scheduler. So first start with the messages. So here I have a recording test created. So when I click on it, I could edit it, or I can also create a new one. But let's just go to this one. I have here a number of zones. I have here something for the parking building and the reception configured. I had this loaded with that recording test. And here is the scheduler. So in this case, I have selected weekdays. Yeah, for example, for schools, it could be interesting to say I use something with the scheduler with every 15 minutes, for example, and then starting from a moment until and ending until a particular moment that you have, or that you really can play out at defined times, like I did here, so that you really have it on your fixed number of moments that you want to play your message. Yeah. So this makes it fully flexible in when you would like to play your event. So this is selected weekdays. You could also say each day at a particular moment. repeating every, this is a little bit too much, I guess, but you could say every 40 minutes, for example, if you want to page security messages during shop opening hours, you could start at a particular moment and end. So, and then at one specific date, for example, a national holiday where you want to broadcast something. Yeah, this is something which you can also do then to schedule it on a particular date. Yeah, so then the next one is music. For music, you can see that there are also some schedules already mentioned in the tiles. This is this scheduler, this calendar icon. So you can see here, for example, I created an happy hour. Can change it again and set the volume. You can, in this case, I said it's not allowed to switch your music off, or you can change the source. Then you can do that. So it sometimes depends if what kind of rights you assign for that particular area. In this case, yeah, I am allowed to change it. So you see again these music channels which was shown before. So you could say at a particular moment, I like to change my channel, or I want to and maybe also change the volume. Yeah, and yeah, and then for this happy hour in this case, and set it on, yeah, selected weekdays, or maybe only on in the weekends. And starting, this is a little bit earlier, I guess, for the happy hour, but let's say 1600 hours, and you can schedule it then. Yeah. So you can see here the overview, Sunday, Saturday. So this is the way then how this happy hour is scheduled for that particular channel. Yeah. Yeah, these are the major functions actually of the APAS. So briefly, voice, text-to-speech, messages, music, and the scheduler. When I now go to the settings menu, as I am logged in as an administrator, I also have an the option to go to all the different settings. Let me first start with showing you yeah, the users. So I have here created two users, admin and user, but I could also add users here and with a particular role. So you have an integrator role, a manager role, or a user role. So an integrator means that it also can add users, but and the manager can also and make settings on the connections, and the manager can more only change things in the tiles and the way how they show up. Yeah. So these areas are shown here. So this is the way how the user screen is created. So when I have this parking again, this ground floor, first floor, and I have created some groupings. Let's go to this parking. So I have here a picture of the parking area, and I have also the ability to add icons on top of it. So you see this parking icon when you open up the. So when I would change this, if it's not, so I could change this to another way. I could say it's only, yeah, or say it is the elevator indicator. So when I change this now, and I would go back to my user screen and make a voice announcement. You see now you have this elevator user icon on top of this picture. Yeah. So you can very easily in this way create your own type of icons. Yeah? So let's think it makes more sense that this is in parking. So let's change this back. Yeah. You also see here the presenza zone. That means I have created some zones here. These are so it's just looking at the presenza system, which zones are available, which are created, and so it will show them up here. It means that here the zone 2 these are only the available zones. So I can here now select this zone 2 again, and I can assign it to a particular section. I've created a number of sections, and so I say this is the section -1. And I tell here what is the possibility to allow to page, to change backup music sources, or to change volume. So these are options what you can change here. Yeah. So you can add sections. So you have here, you could have a new section. So, or maybe if there comes a third floor onto it, I could say, yeah. So now I have, yeah, well, and now it's on another location, but anyway, yeah, it's good. So this is the third floor. I could here now, I could add an area. If I say here now, new area, and I have a presenter zone, which is not yet assigned to anything, and I can assign it to this third floor. And I tell them if what is possible to do in this area. So I could upload an image. I can add, maybe it's the, you know, what shall we make of it? Here's some kind of lecture again. So this is now this new area on the third floor. Yeah. And when I now would go again to the voice, you see now here also this third floor already created, and you can already immediately work with it. So it's so easy it is to change your yeah, your user screen in this case. Yeah. Going back to these settings, you have announcement scripts. Here I have the ones which I showed you. This is just text, and that's used, for example, if you let's say the missing child, you have the standard text for different languages, and yeah, you can easily then search for that text and use that for your text-to-speech service. Next one is the recordings. So you can easily add recordings. So you could give it a name and choose a file, and yeah, and then with that file, you have a lot of different formats. So AIF, AIFF, FLAC, MP2, MP3, OGG, Opus, Vorbis, and WAV. So you are not directly limited to particular 48 kilohertz WAV files which we use for Presenza. This you can use any other format here to upload it into the system. But you could also record a new one, so you can record it with your microphone. Then we have the music sources configuration. So here, this is, for example, this Radio Flam. That's a French French music station. So this is an web URL, and this is then the web page where you can also normally, when you would enter it, listen to the channel. You can use a recording. So that's what I demonstrated shortly with this this recording. So this is just a file which I uploaded, a recording. And there is also these, for example, here the system controller Danto channel 30. That's because you have more Danto channels which might not be used by the APAS, but you could also have one of the other 100 channels which might be available on the system controller, and you can add that backup music channel as an input of your system. In this case, then the system controller Dante input, but it could also be like here, I have also a call station from Presenza where I connected my GSM to. Yeah, so yeah, so you're rather flexible in the music sources you can select for this. Yeah, so I think this is briefly the, yeah, I can show you a little bit more. It's the text to speech. This is the access key and the credentials you need for connecting to Amazon. You have for that you have a region, so you have a lot of different regions, but it also depends on your license. And based on that license, you have these regions, and you can add languages. So in this case, you have here these Amazon Poly languages in our region here, which are available from Polish, Russian, etc. Yeah. Um, and you can have then also different, male and female message. So you're pretty flexible in what type of voice you can use for your announcements. So that's all what you set up here. And then the history tile that was related to what has been executed. You can see here some aspects which were executed today or later. So you can see here an overview also if it was successfully executed or if something went wrong. Yeah, so you can have a nice overview. Also, more dedicated logs could be obtained from the system for maintenance purposes. There is this licensing style. This is where you need to start with when you have ordered your license, and that you can upload this license into this area. So you can add this license. Here you enter your customer information and the activation ID. And as soon as you have added that activation ID, you can abstract the license file, which then must be validated and uploaded into the licensing webpage. And the response file can then again be uploaded to activate it. Yeah, so this is the location where you can do this. And yeah, then there are some update features and factory reset options here. Yeah, so for new firmware updates. When you look in the settings menu, there is an option also, and I scroll down, to create a backup and to import a backup. So that's also a possibility there to check on the options there to get that back. Yeah. So for the more network and time settings, that's now too deep for this session. We have also via our classroom trainings more detailed instructions on this, and also in the manual it will be explained in detail how you can set this up. So I think this was briefly the overview of the APAS. So for now I would invite you to raise your questions.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Anton. I looked at the chat box, and there are already some questions listed. So maybe we can start with those. So I think two questions are actually related to each other. So one is, what is the maximum number of clients that can be connected to APAS? And there is another one, can you give an example, please? If I use 5 tablets for 5 different buildings, should I give 1 APAS and 5 APAL? Okay, so first of all, you need to have one APAS, so one server device for your Presenza system. And this server is basically hosting a web page. As you can see also here on the screen, you see controller connected. So I think that's, no, if you look at the address in the top, there you see HTTPS, and then you see there a name. So that is basically the hosted web page. So you need to have one server, and then you have a number of, let's call them floating licenses that are on the server. So any device can basically log onto this web page, whether it is from your mobile phone, whether it is from a laptop, whether it is from a tablet. But in the end, if you have 5 floating licenses on the server, you can have 5 devices that are opening the web page at the same time. So if you now would have a 6 device, then it would give you a message that there is no license available anymore because all 5 licenses are already occupied. So if you ask what is the number of clients that can be connected, well, that is actually limited by the number of licenses that you have floating on the server. Further, there is no limitation on mobile clients because it is basically depending on whether you open the web page or not, right? So every device can basically have this web page under its favorites. And as soon as you open the web page, you're actually using one of the floating licenses to connect to the server. So going back to the example, if you have 5 different buildings and you want to use 5 tablets to log on to the system, then you need to have one server, and indeed you need to have 5 of these licenses activated on the server so you can access the hosted web page with 5 devices simultaneously. Okay. I hope this answers the question.
Assuming that you have one presensor system hosting these 5 buildings.
Yeah, assuming that you have one presensor system. So indeed, it's one server per presensor system. Yeah.
Or redundant systems, because it also supports if you have, for example, 2 a main and a standby controller. So then you can, but yes, it is in that case also one presensor system.
Yeah, one APAS per presensor system. Okay, good. Then the question is, what languages are supported by Amazon Poly? So I think we saw the list, right? Anton showed this. Is there anything more which you can say about this? Do you know the license structure of that, Anton?
Yeah, I can. Well, you can easily, when you Google on Amazon Poly and languages, then you get a very detailed overview. You can Google on that to find a very detailed overview of the supported languages in of Poly. That the exact cost, there are different cost structures there. You can also have a look on that, but it's really limited because normally these services are used to translate a high amount of text. And yeah, as you know, with paging systems, it's not that you have that high amount of text. So you're really talking about dollar cents in this case, or tenths of dollar seconds per word. So yeah, in that perspective, you should see this. So I would say in this example, going back to that one, I think you would not spend more than $100 on briefly on this. But yeah, I cannot guarantee. It depends on your use case. But you can have a look also on the cost structures there on Amazon.
Okay. Yeah, then there is a question about streaming services like Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Play for a background music source and controlling it. Anton, can you say anything about that? Is that possible?
Yeah, we do not support these streaming services. It has also is related with royalties of these services which they ask for. So we cannot. Yeah, this is not linked to the system. Yeah, what you could of course do always is if you have a PC with the Dante virtual sound card, and you could of course input that sound to the presensor system, but it's not an integrated user interface with these kind of services.
But that's because of license policy, because this is something which you purchase private, and through PA you basically broadcast it public, right? And that's not allowed.
That's right, and that's also something which you should take care of when you are using these web pages or URL streams. Like the normal public ones, yeah, you can use them, but yeah, I could also imagine that yeah, for other services or live streams that you need to check if you are allowed to use them, and else yeah, you can upload files.
Yeah. Okay. Then a question: can we somehow group text scripts, like that we make a set of texts for group use?
No, it's not at the moment. It's a good point. I think we can So yeah, there is no grouping here. What can be done is, as far as I know, is when you, if, for example, go to text to speech and the library, you can search. So what you can do is if you say, I have particular scripts, then always give them a unique name. And uh, and then they will pop up, of course. So if I now only have part of this phrase, or when I say Italian, I'll always put Italian in. I can search at least, and with this way I can group it. So in Spanish I get all the Spanish text. So, but it also depends on how you name your script in that case. Yeah, but some way you can at least then get a list of your section.
Okay. Thank you, Anton. Then another question for text to speech, if you already need to write the text in the target language, or is also translation supported?
Translation is not integrated. No. No, so you need to have a Google Translate or something to at least to verify, or someone to verify that the text is correct.
Okay, so you need to write it in the target language already. So yeah. Okay, so no more questions. Let's wait another minute. Maybe somebody wants to still ask something. If not, okay.
No more questions.
Yeah. So if there are no more questions, if afterwards something is still comes to mind, just get in touch with us. We can answer your questions. So if you are interested in this product, also we have, of course, information available online. Also, the data sheet might be interesting for you. There you get another good view on the features of the system. And also, if you want to specify it, you can also find the A&E text in the data sheets that we have online. So this might help you to put it into specifications. In the meantime, I see that there is a question still coming in. So a question on floating licenses. Floating licenses, the limit is by the maximum clients all the same time. So that question I don't fully understand, to be honest.
What I imagine is if you say I have 10 users and I only have, for example, 2 of these 10 users being active,
Yeah.
that would mean a floating license. What I understood is that the licensing is really linked to the user which you can create. So the number of user accounts which you can create in the system. So it's not a floating license. So the only option is then that if you have more users, that they are using the same credentials. But I wonder if that's what you want. So, but yes, that option is there. But there's not a floating license mechanism here.
Okay. Let's see here. We can have APAS redundancy in the system. Well, actually, I don't think we can have this. So this is a device which is meant for business calls. It is not for EN54 purposes. So with that, there is also not such a high urgency to make the system redundant. What is your take on this, Anton? You have any additional information on that?
No, that's fully correct. Yeah, what you could do, as it is not directly evac driven, you could say I want to have a second APAS just as a backup, but that's not active then. So that means a cold standby, but there is not a hot standby possibility on APAS at the moment. Indeed, for the reason you just mentioned.
Yeah, because the use case is outside the EN54 scope. Then there is the question cost of a license. So that was the regional euro price for that is 1,600 euros, and for the server it is 2,400 euros. Let's see if another question comes in. Okay. Okay, when I am connected via a client with my user license, but I'm already connected to another device, is the new device connected to the older one automatically disconnected? That's do you know this, Anton?
Yes, that's correct. So if you exceed the number of when another one would log in with the same user account, so then the one which was already existing and running on the system will be logged out, and then the new one will be taken over that login. Yeah, so it will overrule the existing one.
So that's the reason if somebody forgets to log out, right? Is that the purpose behind this?
Yeah, that could be one of the things.
That you don't.
Yeah, or if it's just that the session is still open,
Yeah,
and as if he then goes to another location and then still restarts his computer, and the session would still be active at the other, that will take over then again. So the other one will automatically be logged out. And it
yeah,
means that you are not blocked with the license max at that moment.
yeah.
And you
Okay,
get
get it.
and you get a warning of it. So
Yeah. Is there any default password in case the user forgets it? So I guess that comes after a reset then, I guess, right, Anton?
yeah, what indeed, no, there is not. That's not the case. So you should always remember your administration password, which you set. Yeah, if you really forget it, then the only option is at least that you have do not forget the installer to create a backup. Yeah, so if you have a backup, and then go to factory defaults. So that's what you can do in that case. So it's so there is a factory default option here, factory reset. And
Yeah,
then when you go into this, yeah, this wipes out all the data on the device and returns to the original state.
yeah,
So yeah, it's rather a large step. So be careful. Do not so for the large administration passwords. Yeah, you must not forget it.
yeah. Okay. Many thanks, fellows. You're welcome. I hope it was very informative. And yeah, I wish you success with this new product. I hope you see that this enables us to bring much more value to the investment of the PA system, because really from your smartphone you basically have control of the system for business messages and for music on the tip of your fingers, which yeah, was not always the case. So this unlocks potential for a lot of new use cases, adding more value to the system. So in case you have any more questions, please come back to us afterwards. And if not, I would like to thank you for your participation, and hope to be in touch soon with you around your first projects. Thank you very
Yeah, thanks.
much.
Yeah, thank you very much, and hope to see you in one of our next community webinars. Thank you.
Bye bye.